Filming yourself in the workshop is not just for YouTubers. I had no idea about this before maybe a month ago when I started giving it a little bit more thought. And I think the reason for so many people filming their work is because social media opens up a whole world of advertising for you that is pretty much free. But most people don't want to go down the route of these bulky tripods because, frankly, if your workshop is anything the size of mine, you just don't have the floor space spare for all of these things. And that is where I'm going to help you today. I've gone through a whole range of different tripods, different camera mounts. The cheapest and the simplest option that I've got is actually what I'm using today and what I'm recommending to you. The cost is tiny. It's just some pieces of wood and some metal fixings that you can get on Amazon. I will leave some links in the description for everything you're going to need. No matter what level you are, you're going to be able to make these. Oh yeah, and you're going to notice through this video that some of the angles are a little bit janky and you might not get the best view that you would normally get because I'm filming the camera that I'd normally be filming on with a camera that I wouldn't necessarily normally be filming on, if that makes sense. But the end result is you're going to see a really easy way to get this done. The best place to start is by flipping this around and I'll show you exactly what I'm filming on right now. This is just a camera on a claw, on a piece of dowel that I can move around to film pretty much 360 degrees. And this is what I film most of my shots in every day. You can see on the screen, I can see myself so I can center the shots. It's really handy. This isn't how I started. How I started was with this. And there's nothing wrong with this if this is all you've got to put together. This arm that I was filming on has a French cleat on it. So what I did, I cleated it to the side of my shed, and whenever I wanted to film, I could put my camera on this bar here and I could loosen it and bring it out. And it is a great bit of engineering, but it is heavy, it's cumbersome, and although it does a good job, it takes up a fair bit of space. And that's what made me come up with the much simpler solution that I use now. And I'm going to talk you through how I've made it. This all centers around one of these. I've got two different types. They are very inexpensive off Amazon. I've got this one for holding the mobile phone. And then I've got another one that my camera's sat on. Within seconds, you can attach it onto one of the dowel rods that's on your table. Or if, like me, you've got other static points dotted around your workshop, you can move it between them very quickly to get a shot of whatever you want as and when you want it. You can even, and this is a bit simplistic because I'd normally show you this on the actual mobile, but you can even clamp them to the sides of your shelves or on anything that you can actually get it clamped on. So the first thing that you need to do is just get your phone clipped in to the top. Now, the first thing here is you've got full adjustability of the actual phone itself, so you can level it up and tighten it off at the back. Then you need to find something to clamp it to. I started off just clamping it to the workbench. Say I've got some work going on here, you can then swivel your camera around and I can get close-ups of everything that I'm working on here while still recording on my main camera from a wider angle. So within seconds, I can be on and off different areas and doing my filming. They are super flexible around my workshop, but I needed a few easier ways of getting them attached. And that's where this design came in. All it is a series of long wooden dowels, the same width as the dog holes on your bench, or you can make brackets for them, whatever works for you. Me, I have just gone around different parts of my two workbenches, drilled 22mm holes in the surface of the workbench where I can just pop the camera rig in and then it swivels while also holding itself stable within that area. The reason I've done it on two workbenches is because if I'm working on one and it starts to move around, it's not going to affect the camera that is attached to the other one and I can still get a really close-up shot. With that in mind, I also made two very easy holsters to attach to my windowsill. All it is layers of plywood with one bit cut out short. So you can sandwich on either side of the shelf itself, and it can hold any number of the brackets that I've got for my cameras in place, much the same way as the dog hole did it. You could even lock them into place with the locking nut So you've got zero movement at all. And once again, they're not bouncing around while you're working on your workbench. Now I've got both cameras back and I can do a few close-ups at the same time. I can show you exactly what one of these is made of. The first thing you need to make is a dowel with a wider dowel on it. I just took a thicker dowel. I drilled out to the same diameter as whatever the dowel is that I'm going to be putting it on. And then I cut a very thin slit down it to clamp it on. I added some epoxy resin, you could use wood glue, and I then clamped it. And the fact that I cut a small slither out just means that it's going to clamp a little bit tighter. What this does is it just means that when you pop it into your dog hole, it's not going to fall down any further than you want it to. I wanted full range of movement on this, but because I've got the claw that holds up the phone, which gives the subtle movements, or the camera, I don't need anything more than really being able to bring it up, bring it down, left and right. So for me, it is a nice simple way of doing it. And it is just a cross piece that needed to be attached to the upright, and this is what you sit your cameras on. So it really just needed to have a piece here that would hold it stable and allow it to be moved up, down, in and out. I found the easiest way of doing this, and you might find something better than this, it's fine. This is just very rudimentary, was 2 blocks of wood attached together. The upright goes through one, and to lock it in, all I've done is I've put a threaded insert, I've drilled all the way through, and then I've just put a bolt with anything as a knob just to make it easier to turn. And if eventually, when you screw this in, it's going to find the wood, and when it does, it'll push into the wood and it'll lock it into place. Where that leaves you is the second block of wood, which is perpendicular to the first in the drilling side, is exactly the same. It's got a hole to put your dowel through, and it's got the threaded rod with the nut on it. And that's it. There are times that when I've got it mounted onto my windowsill, I want to have the camera right over my work, and I'll show you how stable it really is. As you can see, I've got my camera mounted on the arm, and I got the arm mounted on the windowsill. Let's say I want to do a direct overshot of what is on the workbench. Well, that's so simple. You lock it off, turn it like that, and then you've got the micro adjusting in the middle bit. Your camera is now pointing down. It will start to wobble only for the first 20 seconds. By then you're down and working on your workbench trying to get the perfect shot. And if it's not quite in the right place, that's easy, because the rest of the adjustment you can actually do from the window itself. If you want to come down a little bit lower, you can loosen it and then loosen it right off, slide it down, lock it off. I've actually not locked it off in the actual bracket, but that's fine. And there we go. Say we're doing a really interesting close-up of that block of wood. You've got the angles that you need to be able to really get into the work that you're doing. I can wobble this workbench and it's not actually affecting the camera and the picture it's getting. From there, if you want to move it to a different mounting point, you're just a matter of seconds away from being able to take another bracket off, pop it into a dog hole, and then lock your camera onto that. And I genuinely think this is a great addition to anybody's workshop. It may feel a little bit odd watching a YouTuber telling you how he mounts his cameras, and in truth, it might not be of any interest to 80% of the people out there. But there may come a time that somebody asks you to film a piece and you want to talk to them maybe on the camera, or you just want for your own records to watch yourself work on something you're particularly proud of. These will come in super handy, and it is all based around the brackets. From my perspective, I have to say that adding in the filming and the photographing of the work has added another interest level for me. I find it fascinating to do and really interesting to try and get those perfect angles. If you ever attach one of these to the side of a hand plane, you can get some really cool shots of the shavings. The links are in the descriptions for some of the better ones that I've found. I've been through some of the worst ones as well. And if you've got any suggestions, please pop it in the comments. If you could consider subscribing, you'll make me very happy. If you've enjoyed this video, and you love tools, or you love shop builds, these two videos will be perfect for you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you over there.